Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Ducks Hockey and More. Good to see you. Glad to be back. We're going to do a recap of yesterday's games. Yesterday was Tuesday, October 25th. We're going to do a recap of those. Some pretty crazy games, scoring-wise. It'll be interesting to go over that stuff, so stick around for that. Ducks have to win tonight. I'll talk about that. They are desperately in need of a win. And there's a lot of trade rumors floating around, and I've been jumping on this trade rumor wagon, train, whatever you want to call it, just because it's very interesting stuff, especially so soon in the season. But lots of rumors out there, and hey, is Barry Trotz coming back to coach soon? Stick around. All right, so let's jump into the trade rumor stuff that we mentioned earlier. Let's just jump right into the Toronto Maple Leafs. Been talking a lot of Maple Leafs rumors. Nick Robertson's name has been thrown out there quite a bit as of late in regards to the Leafs acquiring a defenseman, a top 6 or top 4 paired defenseman. And, you know, with Muzzin's injury, the Leafs are desperate right now, looking for some good defense, good blue liner to rack up some minutes for him. And Nick Robertson has made a case for himself, unwillingly, probably unknowingly, to be possible part of a trade to get a Jacob Chychrun. Now, there are a lot of teams involved in the Jacob Chychrun trade rumors, you know what I mean? And we all know he wants out of Arizona, but where is he going to end up? It's kind of one of those things. Whoever gives Arizona the best package is where Chychrun's probably going to go. So either way, long story short, Nick Robertson's name is still involved with the Chychrun trade rumors. Another one that came up with the Leafs is Pierre Engvall. He's a big boy. He's 6'5" tall. He's a winger, so you don't see those really tall wingers like that. These are at least defenseman height, but he's a 6'5" winger. He's coming off a 35-point season last year and 78 games, and he doesn't have any points so far this year, but he has been mentioned in some of the things I'm reading as possible part of a trade. He could be thrown in there. Okay, he's a pretty good young prospect for the Leafs that's got a little bit of NHL experience already under his belt and could be thrown into a package deal. So there's your Leafs stuff. The San Jose Sharks. I've read some stuff about. Obviously, they're off to a bad start, and so when you're probably going to have one of those seasons where you're going to be a seller, and most of this stuff is not going to happen till next year, closer to the trade deadline. So it's talking about it now. It seems strange, but you never know. Something could happen early to try to bolster a team that's struggling and needs that help, and they might pull the trigger and get somebody now. You just never know. But Nick Bonino, he is mentioned as a possible trade piece for San Jose. Any team looking for a seasoned veteran and a Stanley Cup winner, I think he won 2 cups, now Nick Bonino has. That's the kind of presence you want when you're going into the playoffs. You want that experience. So Nick Bonino may not be a Shark at the end of the season. So Chicago Blackhawks. The Chicago Blackhawks actually made a trade. They just traded their 2018 first-round pick, Nicholas Bodin. I kill names, don't forget that. He was a first rounder in 2018. They traded him to the Montreal Canadiens. So I think in return they got a Cam Hillis. So listen, this is a guy that's been in the organization for a while now, but he just hasn't progressed fast enough. And I think Chicago's like, hey, and they moved him, and he'll probably get more playing time in Montreal. He may not be, it may not be like go right to the minors type thing. You never know. He might. Either way, I think this this Nicholas Beaudin is going to probably get more playing time in Montreal and potentially start to showcase his skills a little bit more. So he's been slow to develop. A lot of first rounders do this. They go first round because they do so well in the minors, and then they make it to the NHL level and things just don't work out. So hopefully it'll work out for him. He is now in Montreal. Penguins are still potential landing spots for Patrick Kane, and both. And I've talked about it in previous videos where Patrick Kane becoming a Penguin. You already know Penguins have a juggernaut offense in Malkin and Crosby, and they've added Raquel last year, and they've just got some really good players that can put the puck in the net. And you add a Kane to that as you go into the playoffs. Wow. That'd be pretty impressive. Edmonton. Here's a name I always kill. Jesse Puljujarvi. Okay, I hope I got it right. Jesse Puljujarvi. And the Oilers. And I don't know if they're going to be. Now, there was a lot of talk in the offseason that Puljujarvi probably wouldn't be an Oiler and they were going to move him. He would sign somewhere else and be playing for somebody different. But the Oilers signed him for, I think, a 1-year deal. In the offseason, it was kind of one of those weird things where there was a lot of teams involved with, getting in on the Puljujarvi. I think that he's still probably somebody that the Oilers are going to move before, at some point this year, maybe around the deadline or before. Only because he doesn't have any points yet this year. And I've read some things that the Oilers and Puljujarvi just would rather part ways anyway. So interesting that why would you sign him another year anyway? But Edmonton is now linked to the Jacob Chychrun rumors. So Jacob Chychrun going to the highly potent offense of the Oilers would just bolster them in a big way too. So there's several teams that can be involved with this Jacob Chychrun. I think Puljujarvi is linked to that. If there was the trigger was pulled between Arizona and Edmonton, I think Puljujarvi would be going to Arizona along with some other prospects and picks and that kind of thing too. But he'd be one of them. So there's that. Apparently the Kings are definitely high in the running to get him and land him on their blue line, which is just gonna, the Kings already have a really good lineup offensively and defensively, and so you add a Chychrun to that, and that would be huge for them trying to go deeper in the playoffs than just a first round exit, right? So. There you go. Some other stuff I've been reading and is interesting. The Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche are looking kind of like the Pittsburgh Penguins are looking for Patrick Kane. So is the Colorado. Colorado wouldn't mind landing Patrick Kane, and they're linked to him as well as Jonathan Toews, the Blackhawks captain. So Colorado might make a splash before the year's up. And another thing I've been hearing a lot about is Barry Trotz. He got fired by the Islanders. For personal reasons, he's not coaching this year, but I've heard and read that Barry Trotz would entertain the possibility of coaching, again, depending on who's willing to pay him, obviously, and entice him to come to them, or he might be willing to play for an original 16. At least that's what I've been reading. So he's interested in maybe coaching an original 16 or whoever can entice him the most. So he's a type of coach that for me as a Ducks fan, Dallas Eakins, for me, it has to go. I don't like him as an NHL coach. I like him as a coach, I think, for minor league players, younger guys, developing them and bringing them up. Dallas Eakins has proven that he is really good at that. At the NHL level, Dallas Eakins has not proven much at all. So Barry Trotz would be great behind the bench with the Anaheim Ducks, but the Anaheim Ducks may not be what Barry Trotz wants. So Ducks rumors as well. We're going to concentrate a little bit on that because I am a Ducks fan, and this channel is related to the Ducks as well. Adam Henrique has been linked to some trade talk. I think he was part of in the offseason, and I think late last year too, they were trying to move Adam Henrique, hoping somebody would like to pick up his contract and take it off the Ducks' hands. I like Adam Henrique. I think he's actually a good player for the Ducks. I really do, because he has a lot of experience. He's a veteran out there. He can help and tutelage the younger guys and all that kind of stuff. But He carries a pretty hefty contract that the Ducks, I think, are willing to move and try to get something else in return, whether it be prospects, draft picks, who knows. But Adam Henrique may not be a Duck by the end of the year. John Klingberg as well. A lot of talk about him either being traded, obviously, because that's a lot of people thought that might be why he even came to the Ducks, just as a rental, make some money, showcase his skills, trade him off to somebody who wants that offensive presence on the blue line so they can make a push in the playoffs. Now there's some talk where that's still a possibility, but Pat Verbeek isn't opposed to the idea of keeping Klingberg around if things go well and keeping him long term. He's a right-handed defenseman. The Ducks have a lot of defensemen in their prospect pool coming up through the system, but they're all left-handed. So keeping a Klingberg around might not be a bad idea for Pat Verbeek and the Ducks. It's really kind of up to John. He's the one that has to sign the contract. But we might see John Klingberg as a Duck long term. Who knows? We'll see. I'd like to see his play get better. The recap of yesterday's games. Some crazy game. I'm glad you guys stuck around this far. Make sure you go down and subscribe. Subscribe, comment below. Tell me what you think about all the trades. Possible trades between the Leafs, the Jacob Chychrun stuff, the Leafs and Nick Robertson. Anything Anaheim Ducks fans, chime in. Tell me what you think. There's some defensemen that might be moved before the end of the year. Shattenkirk, Klingberg, Kulikov. Now Adam Henrique's name has been thrown in there as a possible, type of thing. So everybody get in there. The Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, the Avs, all the Penguins, all that stuff. Get down there, comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. Hey, look, so we're going to talk about yesterday's games. Yesterday was Tuesday, the 25th, and there were some really big, interesting, surprising games and outcomes from yesterday. Things I would never have expected, but I have said this before. Any team can win in the NHL on any given night, including the Chicago Blackhawks, the Arizona Coyotes, including the San Jose Sharks, my lowly Anaheim Ducks, and maybe someday the Vancouver Canucks. So, let's do a quick recap. New Jersey Devils took on the Detroit Red Wings. New Jersey beat them up pretty good, 6-2. New Jersey over Detroit. That makes New Jersey 4-3 on the year, and Detroit falls to 3-1-2. Not too bad. Detroit still looks good. Hopefully this isn't derail their momentum, if you will. Vanacek was in net for the Devils. He had 20 saves on 22 shots, and Nedeljkovic was in net for Detroit. He got lit up pretty good. 35 saves on 41 shots. That's a lot of shots. And so it's hard for goaltenders. If your defense is allowing that many shots on your net, chances are you're going to lose. Unless your goalie stands on his head. Moving on to the next game, Minnesota and Montreal. Minnesota is one of those teams. They have finally a win under their belt, right? So they were 1-3-1 going into this game against Montreal. And Montreal's been looking pretty good so far. Well, Minnesota beat Montreal. They got their second win of the season. So maybe Minnesota's turning things around. 3-1 was the score on that one. So now Minnesota goes to 2-3-1. Montreal falls to 3-4. Marc-Andre Fleury looked good for the Minnesota Wild. He had 26 saves on 27 shots. Eriksson Ek had both goals. Eriksson Ek had 2 goals for the Minnesota Wild. Jake Allen was in net for Montreal. He had 28 saves on 30 shots. And Caulfield had the lone goal for the Habs. Third game, let's see. Dallas and Boston went at it. Boston won. Again, Boston's winning. They beat the Dallas Stars 3-1. Now, that's a good game. That's a good matchup. Dallas has been playing well. They're off to a great start. So is Boston. The only setback Boston's had, they had a shootout with Ottawa where they ended up losing that one. But so far, Boston looks really good, but so does Dallas. Boston won this one 3-1. Now, so Dallas now goes 4-2-1, and Boston improves to 6-1. 12 points on the year. Ottinger for the Dallas Stars, 26 saves on 28 shots. And Ullmark for Boston, he had a good night, 30 saves on 31 shots. So there's your star of the game right there, Ullmark. He's been playing really well for Boston. So Taylor Hall, Bergeron, and Pasternak all had goals for the Bruins. Let's see, Arizona and Columbus. Okay. Oh wow. Arizona and Columbus. Arizona won a game. They beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 6-3. Arizona now improves to 2-4, so they've won 2 games now. The Columbus Blue Jackets are now 3-5. So the Columbus will show some life. They look good, and then they have a setback. So kind of up and down for them. They're now 3-5, and this was Patrick Laine's return from his injury in the preseason. So that was a much anticipated return. Patrick Laine and the Columbus Blue Jackets didn't play so hot. It was 6-3, but that score is misleading. Okay, it was 5-0 Arizona at one point. They scored their 5th goal about 2 minutes into the 3rd, and it was just like, you got to be kidding me. Arizona was just outplaying them in every way. Interesting to watch for sure. Gostisbehere had 2 goals for Arizona. In net for Columbus, Tarasov and Merzlikins, 8 for 12 for Tarasov and 5 for 6 for Merzlikins. Ingram was in net for Arizona, 30 saves on 33 shots. So he did pretty well, and he kept Arizona in it the whole time. The few goals that Columbus had in the 3rd, one of which was in the dying seconds of the game, that 3rd one was just kind of like, whatever, who cares at this point. But it was an Arizona-dominated game all the way through. So, and they looked really good. It's interesting because everybody's been, including myself, Arizona. Well, defensively, I don't think that they have what it takes to do much. And goaltending-wise, they certainly do not. I think they're going to get these random games where their goaltender does well, but overall, in the course of an 82-game season, Arizona is just not going to be able to keep up with some of these bigger juggernaut teams, that are going to go into the playoffs. But they're not a bad team, and they can put the puck in the net. They proved that last night. So they have a better record than the Ducks, more points than the Ducks. That's sad, Ducks fans. That is sad. Hey, moving on. Colorado and New York Rangers. Colorado took on the Rangers, and they beat them in a shootout. So this was the matchup. Georgiev returns to New York, and what happens? He beats him. He goes into his old barn where he used to be a backup for Shesterkin, and he won the duo, the duel between the two. Georgiev was 44. He had 44 saves on 46 shots, so he had there was a ton of shots in this game, people. So he did a really good job. He shined for Colorado. Shesterkin had 42 saves on 44 shots. So he did a really good job for the New York Rangers. So both teams were peppering each goaltender, and it was a goaltending matchup all the way through. Colorado improves to 4-2-1, so they're doing much better. And New York Rangers are now 3-2-2. That was a good one. Florida and Chicago. This is crazy. I don't know what the hell's going on. Crazy stuff. This is the biggest weird one. Chicago gets their 4th straight win, and against the high-flying Florida Panthers. Matthew Tkachuk, and the Panthers got beat by the Chicago Blackhawks. Wow. Okay, so here, listen. Florida now is 4-2-1. Chicago, 4 wins in a row, is now 4-2. They have 8 points on the year. Can they continue to do this, Chicago? Man, I don't know. Be interesting to see, right? It's way early, but you never know. Bobrovsky in net for Florida. He barely had anything to do. He had 18 saves on 21 shots. That's it, 21 shots. I hate to see that kind of stuff, but Stalock was in net for Chicago. Remember, I've said at Stalock, it's his net right now with Mrazek injured. So Stalock's in net, 29 saves on 31 shots. Kane and Taves both had a goal in that game for Chicago. Pittsburgh and Calgary. Here's a big juggernaut matchup, okay? A couple of high-flying teams. Calgary won that matchup 4-1. Pittsburgh falls to 4-2-1, and Calgary improves to 5-1. DeSmith was in net for Pittsburgh, 32 saves on 36 shots. Markstrom for Calgary. This cat's really good. When he's on fire and Calgary's offense is clicking, they're almost unstoppable. Markstrom was 32 saves on 33 shots. Kadri had a couple of goals in that game. He looked really good. Pens were just shut down. Their offense was completely shut down. Calgary looks really good, people. They are a legit contender this year for sure. Seattle and the Buffalo Sabres took on, I think it was in Seattle. Buffalo's been doing really well. They're riding that Darlene and his point streak. Eric Comrie's been playing really well. They went into Seattle. Seattle beat them. They got beat up pretty good, actually. Seattle won 5-1. Seattle looked really, really impressive in this game. Really impressive. Offensively, seeing some of the things that they did, the passing, the shots, very, very, very impressive. 5-1. So Buffalo is now 4-2. Seattle improves to 3-3-2. They're now back at 500. So what that gives them 8 points on the year. Eric Comrie was in net for Buffalo, 19 saves on 24 shots. That's not good. Yikes. And he's been playing really well lately, so Seattle figured him out. Jones was in net for Seattle. He had hardly any shots to deal with. 15 saves on 16 shots. That's horrid for on the Buffalo side of things. So I don't know. Daniel Sprong, who Seattle decided to, I think he was on a professional tryout with them in the preseason. They signed him. He's been looking pretty good for them. He had a great goal and some other assists and stuff like that. But he looked really good for Seattle last night. So that was a good signing by them so far. At least it's working out. Vegas and San Jose. Vegas beat the Sharks 4-2. So now Vegas is 6-2. The Sharks are 2-7. Yikes, Sharks. Hill was in net for the Golden Knights, 29 saves on 31 shots. Reimer in for San Jose, 27 saves on 31 shots. And then the last game, Tampa Bay and LA went at it. This is in LA. LA's been on a long road trip, just like the Ducks were. They come home, take on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they beat them 4-2. Vasilevsky was in net, so he had 29 saves on 33 shots. Jonathan Quick for the Kings, 23 saves on 25 shots. Record-wise, Tampa Bay is now 3-4, so they're a game under 500, and LA improved to 4-4, so now they're 500. LA really limited the shots that the Tampa Bay Lightning could to get on Quick. That's what LA's MO is, man. They really do a good job at limiting the other team's shots on goal. And by doing that, you give yourself a way better chance to win the game. And you help your goalie by not having him stand on his head with tons of shots. Ducks should take a note out of their book on that one. Anyways, they capitalized on their chances and won the game 4-2. Look, there's only 3 games on today. One of them's the Ducks. Ducks fans, we need a huge win tonight. The Ducks have got to win. We've got to win. All these teams that we should be doing better are passing us in the standings and getting more points. It's embarrassing. Go Ducks tonight. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Go down and subscribe to the channel. I need subscribers in a big way. Most people coming through, checking us out, aren't subscribing. So get on board. That way you know when I've got new content out, which is pretty much every day. So go down and subscribe. Comment below as well. Let me know what your thoughts are on this, anything I talk about. And again, as always, thanks for watching. See you next time.